All right, great. Well, I think we've got a pretty good group tonight. I do have transcripts posting, so I hope that's not irritating for folks, but I have had that request recently. So this is your Louisiana 4-H volunteer leader webinar. Tonight we're going to talk about we're going to go over some of the upcoming events for volunteer leaders this coming year in collaboration with the VLA and throughout the region. And then we're also going to have some discussion from Miss Lisa on starting the 4-H year on the right foot. She's joining us from Jackson, Paris. She's a 4-H leader and a master volunteer. And then we also have a panel of a diverse group of tenure leaders. It's going to talk about some of the strategies that they've incorporated to create a successful program year. So we're going to open it up to questions for those of you that are starting or with us today. So I hope we get a lot of good ideas sharing from the hour that we're going to be together this evening. So starting out, I'm going to go through some of the upcoming opportunities for leaders, and then Miss Ruby Miller is going to lead us in one of her phenomenal icebreakers immediately following. So just a couple of announcements. National 4-H Volunteer Conference is coming up September 30th to October 3rd. It's Rock Eagle, Georgia. We've got registration is open. I'm going to share this slide deck after the call so you can kind of check out the website and see what all to offer. I want you to stay tuned for an email and also on our social media for a potential scholarship opportunity. I've reached out and had the opportunity to share a scholarship for a new volunteer and a new leader to potentially participate, pay that registration to National 4-H Conference. And we have several people on the call tonight that I think that are going to participate in that. And immediately following the icebreaker, I'm going to have Jay kind of share her experience on participating in National Volunteer Conference and all of that it has to offer. So stay tuned for that. All right, and then also we're looking to have due to COVID restrictions, we're going to reduce the length of our 4-H conference this year for our volunteers, but we are hoping to have that conference in person. We have we're working on potentially what would happen if it went virtual due to COVID restrictions, but right now we're looking for a reduced schedule at Camp Grant Walker, a one-day conference on November 6, 2021. And then, like I said, I'll share this slide deck out in the call after tonight so you can kind of check it out. But if you're interested in participating and just want more information, you can use that link on your screen just to subscribe to the conference offerings and to get on that mailing list so that we can kind of update you on that schedule. And we will continue to share information on social media as well as through that newsletter and through the mailing list that you all are a part of. So look for that. Also, we do have a regional conversation in collaboration with the specialists of the Southeast region and the University of Arkansas. It's an opportunity to kind of share ideas across the region and even nationally, and it's open to any volunteer leader. So if you have that free hour, the next session is going to be November 30th at 6 p.m. And the topic is going to be innovative ideas for club. So if you're just interested in connecting and getting more ideas just nationally, there's a really easy call to participate in. And I just encourage you to just subscribe to that or register for that so you can get on the mailing list when that call information is sent out in the future. And also, kind of more importantly, there's been a lot of conversation lately, and it's funny, the individual, Kim, is on this call. We just talked about this earlier today, but we're going to offer a 4-H Master Volunteer Workshop this coming January on the 15th. So we've had several of our leaders that have offered to assist other volunteers in creating that Master Volunteer portfolio. And so if you have that free day where it's going to be 11 o'clock to 3 p.m., on LSU's campus. So hopefully that creates opportunity for you to travel and participate in a 4-H Master Volunteer workshop. So if you know you have the materials to put together your portfolio, or if you don't know, but you're a very active volunteer, you can visit that link on the website just to show interest, and then we can kind of continue to send you information about it. So opportunity to connect with other leaders, work on that Master Volunteer portfolio, get that accreditation, and whether you're just starting out, just learning about it, or if you're, some of our leaders like Joey and Sarah that are working on their Emerald level, if you need some assistance connecting with others and creating that last phase of your portfolio as well, feel free to show interest using that link on your screen. We'd love to have you produce that portfolio this coming year. So that's going to be January 15th, 2022. If you have no knowledge of the Master Volunteer Workshop, that's okay. We actually had a whole session in a previous webinar that was on Master Volunteer Portfolio and being a Master Volunteer. And so once I'll share that link in the recap email to all of those recorded sessions, previous webinar sessions, and you can check that out when you have time. And certainly the last announcement before I let Miss Ruby take it away for us is, if you don't get the leader news, which I feel most of you get, you can subscribe to that newsletter with the link on your screen. If you don't have time to jot this down, it's okay. I will share the slide deck in the recap email. All right, Miss Ruby, if you want to take it away, we're going to hand it off to you for an icebreaker.
Okay, let me present I'm going to browse for my PowerPoint. Hang on, give me just a second.
No worries. Give everybody a second to collect their thoughts after my rapid fire of what's going on. So
let's see, it's going to upload. And we have some new volunteers, I see. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, it looks really great. Thank you.
Okay, so we have some new people here and we have some seasoned volunteers. But one thing that I want to share with you is that one thing I've learned is, as 4-H volunteers, the more we know about each other and work together, the more connected our state program becomes. And you might think, well, the state program, I'm just worried right now about my little club or my shooting sports program in my parish. But the more you are connected with people across the state, like we are right this moment, we're all in different places, the more we know about each other and can draw from each other experience and share resources, the stronger we all become. So what I would like to do is for us to get to know each other just a little bit better and take a ride on the 4-H volunteer bus. So if y'all are willing, we're going to take a little ride, and every so often along the way we're going to have a stop. And when we get to the stop, you're going to have to make a choice as to which side of the bus you're going to get off. And if you don't understand, we're going to get started. So I think right when we get started, you'll get it right away. So you're going to be using the chat. So whenever I ask you to make a choice or submit your choice, you'll do that in the chat. So let's get started. Okay, so we're all on this bus together and we're coming to stop number 1. Stop number 1 has a question. And the question is, which role would you prefer as your service to Louisiana 4-H? So you're going to have to make a choice. It's either going to be A or B, but let's look at the choice. Now, you're going to say what you prefer as your service, and it could be an occasional assistant as a volunteer. Maybe you just want to give your service as a 4-H volunteer to judge a competition, or help a 4-H agent by maybe making a bulletin board, or maybe you want to just go on a camping trip once with a group of kids just to help out. So that may be your choice. Or it could be B, you want to be an ongoing volunteer in a specific activity. You want to be either in shooting sports or livestock, or you want to be part of the cooking team, food and fitness team. So if you will, submit your choice. Which side of the bus would you like to get off, A or B? And I'm going to look, and we have a whole bunch of B's. I don't see any A's. Oh, there's an A, somebody who just wants to be an occasional volunteer. There's another A. So most of us have B's. Well, 4-H is made up of many volunteers who contribute time as often as they can. Some can only give a little time and some can give a lot, but we're all important. Any time you give to the 4-H program is very, very valuable, not only to you, but to the community and the people you serve. So we may have a little discussion about this a little bit later if we have time, but let's move on. Let's all get back on the bus. And notice there is no driver on this bus. I didn't have time to put a driver, but let's get to the next stop. And the next stop has the question, what benefit do you hope to gain in serving as a Louisiana 4-H volunteer? Of course, everybody wants something. Is your choice or your hope that it will be to connect with youth, to grow their confidence? Maybe if you're really just wanting to connect with kids, then you would want to get off on side C. Or maybe you're a person that wants to contribute to positive change in your community, and a 4-H volunteer, being a 4-H volunteer is the way you're going to achieve that. So which is it going to be? Is it going to be side C or side D? I see a couple of D's. I see some more D's, another a C. So someone who really wants to connect with you. A lot of people who want to make that positive change in the community. Someone who says C and D, do I have to choose? No, you don't. You could get off on both sides, I guess, and spend a little time on one side and then the other. That would be perfect. So one of the things to recap this little stop, and I have another D, just to let you know, it doesn't matter which side you get off on or which side you most identify with. 4-H members, you'll be happy to know this, that 4-H members are 2 times more likely to make healthier choices than their peers. So if you pick C to really connect to those kids and grow their confidence, you have statistics that say 4-H kids make healthier choices, so you're going to make a difference there. And if you pick D, it's nice to know that 4-H members are nearly 4 times more likely to become civically active and make community contributions, so you can be an excellent role model for that next generation. So it doesn't matter where you spend your time, you're going to make a difference. So, and I see another C and D. Very good, very good. Okay, everybody get back on the bus. Everybody's back on the bus, and let's do a couple more stops. Okay, at this stop, you're going to pick your strongest personal skill. Now, you may decide you can get off on one side or the other, but you may want to say that you just want to stay on the bus because you don't feel like you're very strong in either one of these, and that's okay. If you're going to say stay on the bus, that's fine. You can type that. But let's compare these two skills. Is your skill in leading or is your skill in helping? We have some leading. We have a leading. Leading is E and helping is F. E and F, and we have another F. Okay, so here I see a mixture. Some say leading is my strong point, some say helping. Now, either one, we know we have to have leaders. Somebody said ENF, and I think I'm both, really. If you can step up to be that leader sometimes, and if you can step back and be the helper and support a leader, that's excellent. Another, I think I'm both. That's very good. But it doesn't matter if you choose to be the leader or the helper. We know we all benefit the 4-H program. You might think that you might not be able to lead something, but you can go and support someone who is leading. That's great. We need people like you. And we need you to role model for those kids who also like to be the helpers. So someone else, an E and an F. Very good. Okay, so everybody's back on the bus. Let's get back on the bus and let's see. I think we have 2 more stops. And the next one is also, which is your strongest personal skill? Is it G, cooking, or H, camping, or maybe you want to stay on the bus? You have a choice. You can get off on the cooking side. Ryan is a G. Oh, very good. G, another G, bunch of G's. Somebody staying on the bus. That might not be their particular skill at all. An H, a camping, very good, because we need people with we need diverse skills. We need a lot of different people with a lot of different skills to make 4-H work. That's right. So one more, let's see. I'm good at both. Susan's good at both. Frankie, I'm a G, but I don't get to do it much right now. Unfortunately, you don't get to cook very much. Okay. Oh, that's not Frankie. That's Megan. I bet you don't get to cook very much. You're super busy. That's why. Someone else doesn't go camping. But if you don't go camping, that's okay. There are lots of people who like to camp, and you can always find a place to fit. Okay, so one more stop. So everybody get back on the bus. Back on the bus, and here we go. And which is your strongest personal skill? One more time. And is it, whoop, let's see if I can, which is your strongest, okay, I can't, oh, here it goes. Farming, livestock, or crafts. If you had to pick, which would it be? Farming and livestock, which is I, crafts, J. We have a J, we have some I's, we have another J. So if you look at these as these choices, they're popping up, you'll get to know each other just a little bit. Someone's going to stay on the bus with this one. Okay, that was Megan. She's going to stay on the bus. Somebody said I, but they're not great at it, but that's okay. You don't have to be an expert to be the helper. So, or even the leader. And somebody says both. So, very good. Well, kids and teens have the opportunity to select for many projects, as we know. They either complete these at home, through club involvement, at camps, maybe an after-school program, but they usually complete them or work through them with knowledgeable, caring volunteers to serve as their mentors. You don't have to be the expert, but you can help them and care about what they're learning and share what you know or bring them to someone who does have knowledge. And in that way, you are being their leader and you are being their mentor. So we all know that volunteers matter and they make a significant impact. And the 4-H program would not be possible without volunteers. Through their service, volunteers grow personally. You will grow from every minute you spend interacting with youth and families in the 4-H program. You will enrich the 4-H program and you're going to enrich those youth and you're going to make our community stronger. So this was just a little activity to help us get to know each other and see how diverse we are and how our likes are different, but it doesn't matter because we're all in this together. We're all 4-H volunteers. So now I'm going to turn it over to you, Megan, and what you have next.
Thanks, Miss Ruby, for that fantastic icebreaker. And I was just thinking, you know, if some of us have to do virtual clubs, or even, I guess you could do a this or that even in an in-person club. So it's a great way just to get your kids kind of to break the ice, for the upcoming year, just do or this or that. So it's really fun. So I appreciate you leading us in that icebreaker. And so before we move on, I wanted to do a quick share session. I had mentioned earlier that national conference was coming up, and that I have requested funds to put a scholarship to send a new leader to National 4-H Volunteer Conference, and I'm going to get that out to y'all hopefully by Friday or by Monday. But I do have Jay's on the call today. Jay's been several times and well connected in Egg Center, but also as a 4-H volunteer. So I did ask her if she could just spend a minute talking about her experience in participating in National 4-H Volunteer Conference. I'll say my third day on the job with Louisiana 4-H was actually in Rock Eagle. It was a phenomenal experience. So, oops, let me meet somebody real quick. But Jay, if you're there, are you there, Jay?
I am.
Awesome. So if you want to just talk to us about, being involved with the National 4-H Volunteer Conference, then I'm going to surf the website while Jay's sharing with us this evening. So,
guys, the national conference has been something that I've gone to every year since my very first one. In 2001, Miss Ann Keene, who is one of the veteran volunteers in Louisiana and my mentor, and who I want to be like when I grow up, she picked me up at the airport for that very first national conference in Rock Eagle, at Rock Eagle Center in Georgia, and I have not missed one since. Even the virtual one that we did last year. There's just so much value in attending not only this national conference because it's 4-H, but conferences in general. Successful volunteers, and it's pretty evident on this call tonight, all you guys are on here because you're trying to learn and you're trying to network and you're trying to grow. And that's what we do, and that's what the national conference does for us. You get so many new ideas by sharing with other volunteers from other states. It builds your confidence. Sometimes as volunteers, we start projects, we start clubs, we start working with kids. We don't have a clue if we're succeeding or if we're getting good results. Our only reward is in the kids' reward when they succeed and we see them succeeding. So being with other volunteers and hearing the stories, it gives you the confidence that you are making a difference and that you are inspiring youth and you're inspiring other adults to do the same thing that you're doing. So it builds your confidence, or at least I found that it built mine. And it also gives you an opportunity to influence other people, for you to influence other volunteers with your ideas and your thoughts and the things that are successful for you where you are. You get to share that when you go to these conferences. You also come home with so much new knowledge. Sometimes you're overwhelmed. You don't know which way to go and you don't know what to start first, or what to implement first. But there's so many new things and valuable knowledge that you gain. Also, I always looked at it as my retreat to refuel. That was my opportunity. The kids got to go to camps. The kids got to do all those fun activities. This was our adult fun activity, our adult retreat, so that we could go and learn and refresh and just rest and gain new energy. I guess energy is the word I was looking for. And you look at things differently. You gain new perspectives from other people, and you constantly should be wanting to learn and grow and make things better, because that's our motto: make the best better. We live by that motto in 4-H, and that's one of the things that will help you do that by going to the national conference. And it also, I guess the last thing I want to say real quick is that it helps build that community of, just like we're on this call tonight and we're building a community of Louisiana volunteers, like Miss Ruby mentioned in the beginning of the conversation in her icebreaker. As we get to know each other across the state, we build a community in Louisiana. As same thing happens across the southern United States. As we meet new people and gain new friends, we build that community together. And so it's just an incredible growth opportunity. and a good leadership opportunity. So if you have a chance to go, if you can muster the money, get a scholarship, get your 4-H foundation to pay for you to go, because what you gain by going, they will benefit from when you get back. And Megan, I guess that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
No, it's been phenomenal, Jay. Thank you. And I will say, what I will share a scholarship opportunity either on Friday or Monday once I get that. I haven't been approved for that. But also, like Jay said, reach out to your foundation, talk to your 4-H agent. The registration costs on their website do include the lodging and food. So just know that. And also I'll say this was my 3rd day on the job, I think, as a specialist. So I've been in academia for, over a decade, and it was probably the best conference I've ever attended. Just so much fun, and the opportunity to connect with leaders across the nation, and like Jay mentioned. So hopefully we'll have several of you attend this coming year. They are taking COVID precautions. They do have a pretty good strategy in place. I've been on the advisory board calls. We do have 2 leaders within the state that are on the volunteer advisory committee, and so they are trying to, minimize any risk related to COVID currently. So hopefully we will have you join us this coming year in Rock Eagle. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to your 4-H agent, or you can reach out to me or any of the leaders on this call that, like Jay, I'm sure would welcome questions. I'm sure Ms. Ruby would as well. Lisa would, several others that have been before. All right, so we're going to move on to talk about tips and strategies to start the 4-H year off right. And so we do have Miss Lisa on with us today. She's going to talk a little bit about tips and strategies. But before we send the mic off to her, I wanted to see if you all had some tips and strategies that you wanted to share. So just a little bit of a group think this afternoon before we jump into that conversation with Lisa, and then also with our experts on the call. So just give me a moment and I will pull up our poll. So thinking about, some of you have been, 4-H leaders for several years, and we're starting off the new year. What are some of the things that we do to make sure that we're successful? So how are we engaging youth? What are some of those tips, activities that you incorporate into your 4-H programs? What are ways that you make sure to ensure communication within your group? What are some of those things that you do to break the ice for that coming year? So on your screen, I'm going to share this poll with you in just a moment. So if we could get everybody to share just one of their strategies with us. And I've got the poll open so that you can now participate in that. So if you are new on the calls, or if you've never done a Menti before, I'm going to share the link in the chat. Go to www.menti.com. Right, and I shared that in the chat, and then it's going to ask you for a code. I'm going to share that in the chat for you as well. So some of you that are having to toggle between in-person and virtual clubs, it's also a great way to engage your youth. Many of them have done that Menti meter before. So what is one activity that you do to start the 4-H year off right? So I'll give everybody a moment to share that with us. Okay, so we have people that have started sharing already, so I'm going to start reading those as they're coming in. So having an informal social with parents and kids, great way to connect, absolutely. Just having parents get incorporated, engaged into the program. That's actually one of those tips and strategies that I normally talk about when we discuss engaging parents and volunteer opportunities. And also, if you need any critical material like forms, say you have a lot of events coming up and you need other parent support and you want to get a list going of what parents might be able to provide resources or even time to dedicate to other events, it's a great opportunity to do those sign up lists at those mandatory parent meetings or also those informal parent socials. Ice cream socials to break the ice is a great idea. I'm not sure I know too many people that don't like ice cream or wouldn't participate in an ice cream social. Setting up a remind, and so if you are, for one, like use a lot of the apps, the communication tools that are available for organizing clubs and events, or even I know that my school does use Remind, and I've used GroupMe a lot is another tool if you are familiar with GroupMe. If not, on the App Store, it's a great way to collaborate. With an iPhone app. That's one that I use a lot with my collegiate 4-Hers, as also my national conference delegates. We use that. We often communicate when we're doing training sessions during the training session, so getting information out really quickly to groups that you're interacting with. Starting the year off right with great communication between parents. And so this is one thing that I hit on all the time with 4-H agents, is that two-way communication. So I appreciate whoever shared that. Making sure that when you're engaging all of your other parents, that you have the opportunity to share information, but they share information back. And so some of the ways that we discussed that already, of having those socials so you can connect, but also setting up tools like a GroupMe where they can respond. So you send information out and they're responding. So you know that they're actually getting the information that you're sending. I send a lot of emails. I don't always know, if you're getting them. So that's one way that we can incorporate this two-way communication, having these sessions, these training sessions where I get to connect with you, but also we can use some of these technology tools to make sure, ensure that we have that two-way communication, but also these in-person events as we're able to do so. So setting expectations. So whoever shared that, that's absolutely a critical piece. I don't know if whoever shared setting expectations wants to just briefly talk about how they've done that in the past. Oh, I thought I saw a mic open, but maybe not. Okay. It's okay if you don't, but so setting expectations. So something that I used to do was I would have my youth actually generate a list of rules, and then we would create the rules together. And I know that several clubs actually already do this. So, oh, Kara, was it you that wanted to comment?
Hi.
I'm sorry. Hey. Kara, was it you that wanted to share? I can close my mic real quick.
Turning my volume up, I couldn't hear that.
Was it you that contributed setting expectations?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Do you have anything else you wish to share? I'm sorry, but.
Oh, I just joined. I've been having internet issues at my house. So that's why I'm joining late.
That's
So I
okay.
apologize.
No problem. We're just talking about activities that we use to start the 4-H year off right. So absolutely happy to have you join us.
Okay.
So thank you.
I'm actually a sponsor of two. I started two 4-H clubs at two different schools 3 years ago. One at a middle school and one at a high school. And this year we're going to implement a point system to hopefully get more students involved in 4-H, and then with those points they would earn a tangible award at the end of the year. So that's one thing that we're going to do this year. And I don't know who all's on, so, and I'm in Caddo Parish. I didn't know if this is just Caddo or where.
Oh, that's a great idea. So I appreciate you sharing that. So as youth participate in activities, you're going to implement some tangible award that they receive, is what I heard. That's
at
correct.
the end, at the end of the year. So we have a cap
Awesome.
of 100, but they can earn more than 100 points. So if they get more than 100, we're hoping that once COVID dies down, we'll be able to provide them with some sort of field trip. If a field trip isn't allowed, then we're going to do a gift card, and we're going to take a survey from the students to where they would prefer the gift card go. And then, so that's like the grand prize or grand award. And then we have, like, if they've done stuff through the year, we also have like gift cards for other types of points. So like, say they're an officer, so they would get 10 points automatically for being an officer, like 2 points for attending each meeting. If they participate in any of the newsletter activities, or we have the Louisiana fall products sales. If they sell items, we always signs out before our meeting, so if they volunteer to do that, they could get points. So just a variety of activities. When we do our service learning project, if they participate in that, and if there's any delivery of anything, then they get points for those. So just any little thing that we can try to do to get them points and get them more involved, and especially finishing their project leaflets. We might set up some workshops to help them get that done. So if they attend those workshops and then get their split done, they get so many points for all that stuff. And then all those points will add up. And then, like I said, would have like a grand prize at the end. Grand award. I'm sorry, I don't want to say a grand prize, but
No, great. And if you, I may send you an email after this, Kara, if you don't mind.
sure.
Just to see kind of what you guys have put together. If you don't mind
Okay.
sharing it with the group, that would be kind of neat. April's asked the question. Several folks I think are kind of interested in that concept. So I appreciate you sharing.
Oh, sure.
Awesome. Oh, great. And then a couple other things that were shared that I'll touch on before I turn the mic over to Lisa here is, the mandatory parent meeting. Hey, Deborah, I can hear you. Yep.
Can I talk about expectations? I didn't want to cut in, but our group last year for the first time did virtual meetings, but it was, it was kind of like live virtual meetings where the kids were actually participating. And after the first meeting, we realized that we needed to send out a little paper with expectations, and we're going to do that the first time this time, because we're going to be starting with virtual meetings again. But we're going to make sure they know our expectations of how you participate in a virtual meeting effectively, so you can have the meeting, but people still get to talk, share things, and how to do it in an hour's time and still have fun. But that was one of the expectations. Usually we're live, and we never really thought about the fact that these elementary kids really don't know how to conduct themselves on this meeting. I mean, everybody was just jabbering all at the same time, and we had to mute everybody. And so, but it was something. If you're going to do a meeting like that, you need to make sure that if you have certain guidelines that you want them to follow, and my suggestion is have a little printed copy of it to send home with them too, so they can refer to it during or before the meeting. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's a great, actually, something I do have, for those of you that are doing virtual clubs again, or a hybrid format, I actually have a resource that I created on just helping manage those virtual clubs. And that's one of the things, like Miss Deborah already talked about, having those expectations. Like, how do you even do that? And so I can definitely share that resource in the recap call of just managing those virtual club experiences. You know, I really hope for us that we can do a lot more in person this year, and it looks like we will. But, you know, just the opportunity, we have to run some virtual meetings, having those resources available. So thank you, Deborah and Carol, also for sharing. So if I'd like to turn the mic over to Miss Lisa now, if she's available. Lisa's been a 4-H leader with Jackson Paris for years and years. She's really, you know, tenured, and she's got a lot of great information to share. She's also a master volunteer with our program, and so I did ask her if she could share some of her tips for and strategies for just starting that 4-H year off on the right foot. And I visited with Lisa, you know, several times in the past, and I think she's also participated in regional and national events, so she's got a lot of great information and knowledge. And so, Lisa, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great. I'm going to close my mic and I can turn it off to you. But if you would, when you start out, just talk about how long you've been with 4-H first off, if you could, and your experiences as a 4-H leader briefly before you kind of jump into your strategies. If you could, that'd be great.
Okay, so I joined 4-H when I was in 4th grade, and I went all the way through high school. And, you know, whenever they get to high school, it's like, oh, that's our hour to get out of class. So, and that's how ours was. You just kind of went and you got out of class. Well, since I've been a leader since 98, I didn't want that to be how 4-H was when they came to a meeting. It was just they sat in there and they were just getting out of class. So, over the years, I've had multiple agents. Some were really great, or it was like, oh, why did I do this type thing? But they've all been good. I'm not going to say they weren't. They were good at what they did. But I know with junior high and high school, especially 7th grade and above, they don't really want to join. It's kind of like they would tell me, some of them would tell me at one point that, oh, I don't want to join 4-H because just that's what the nerds join. And so I made it a point to make it fun when they come. They still get to have their meeting as far as the business meeting and with the agent, but I make sure that we have fun. It may not always be during meeting time. I may just get individual groups and have little fun days. Last year, our numbers were down because we didn't know if we were going to get to have in-face meetings or whether or not it was going to have to be virtual. And they just did not want to do virtual at all. And so we were lucky. My principal was excited to let us have the meetings. I have a big area outside my library, so we could spread out and stay in our little pods and everything. And then inside the library, I have more room than a classroom. So we were able to meet all year long. And my numbers were down because they just didn't think we were going to get to have those meetings. But they eventually started trickling in, and even though they weren't actually a member, but they started trickling in because they had been members and just didn't do it because they did not want to do it. We were the only club at school that met last year as a group. So this year we have a recruitment drive. Used to, I was in the leader for grades 3 pre-K-12 school, but due to the fact that I have a new position stuck on top of everything else, I am only 8 through 12, which that's my group I wanted to stay with anyway. That's what I started out with, and I really love that group. I also get to meet with them every day because I have those kids almost every day. But are supposed to, if the principal allows us, we are going to have a treasure hunt, a back to school bash, and we're doing a Disney theme this year at school. So we're going to be pirates for our meeting. The kids are excited. The ones that I've talked to, they're going to be allowed to give a ticket to a friend to come, one that probably would have joined last year, but didn't because of various reasons. So we also, that's going to be our big recruitment drive for 8 through 12. And I told them that if it turned out well and they liked it, that we would do it for the other grades. And they would be able to take care of all of it at that point. I have a treasure hunt ready for them because I wanted them all to be able to participate in the treasure hunt. And each of the locations will have a bag with 2 items in it, and they have to choose which item is the correct answer. They won't know, I mean, they'll know the question and they'll know the answers, but they'll have to bring back that item, and nobody knows what's in anybody's bag, or at least they shouldn't. And so then we'll see who is back fast the quickest, and who has the correct answers will win another little prize. But one of the things was cannonballs. One will be cheese puffs, the other will be malted milk balls. So one of those 2 would be the correct answer from the choices. But this is also a way to get someone else who may not have been in 4-H or who is thinking about 4-H to be involved, because they will be invited by a member to come. They will be crowned Emerald Clovers, the winners. Also, we have, because we are for 3 through 12, another way that I had enrollment to up the enrollment was I had a die cut machine that did the cut clovers. And as soon as they joined, we put their name on the clover and went and put it on the wall. We were doing lockers, but the assistant principals got mad about that and said it was a security issue. So we started putting it above the locker so that you didn't know whose locker it was. But when they start seeing all those, want their name on the wall with them. So that has helped a lot with the younger kids. It actually does pretty good with junior high too, because, you know, I want them up there too. I want to be able to find out, you know, what they're doing. Last year I had kids, I pulled them at the school year, had them come paint. Well, the other kids were saying, well, how can I help? How can I come paint? How can I help at Christmas and paint? So we have a lot of that. Well, before I would take them on trips. We haven't been able to do many of those, but we have had, they just knew I was constantly taking them somewhere. Again, getting out of class. We've had the recruitment drive at lunch recess before. We've had a table set up with the membership forms, and, you know, if they joined or if they got a membership form, we did that for the week of 4-H week with decorations out front. National 4-H week, we've given out clover stickers to parents in Carline, and you know, some of the little like that, or they get out the car and put a sticker on their shirt or something. But those are just some of the things that we've done. I'm always looking for something new, and I love theme. If I have a theme, I know how to decorate, I know how to go with it. And then, you know, the kids, oh, she's doing this. Well, I can contribute something to that. And they love to do the decorating part. Like, we'll have food that night. Hot dogs will be called scurvy dogs, and nachos will be medallions with covered in gold. But we always have a little theme because it just makes it a whole lot easier. I hope that made sense.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Lisa. I thought that was interesting too, like just in the carpool line, like handing out material. So I've been waiting in the carpool line for I don't know how long, sometimes just waiting to pick up my child, but just to be handed like, hey, we have a meeting coming up, or we are getting, we're starting enrollment process for our 4-H club. And so I'll just say like my daughter's been trying out for teens, but to know that she would be involved, well, she knows about 4-H, but for example, if she didn't, just the opportunity to participate in a program, that was open to everybody and that had the opportunity to be just a diverse group of youth to learn about, leadership and civic engagement and, other opportunities as well. So that's kind of a great idea that I thought about. Hey, parents are there. Like, how do you meet parents where they are? You've got hundreds of cars in carpool. So it's one kind of tip that I'd picked up from you as well. One of the issues sorry, Lisa.
We have usually have a fall festival every year. And one of the things we've done on that too is donated the little plastic Halloween totes that have the 4-H on there to where kids, when they come to get their tickets, and then we give them a little bag. And so they have a bag to take with them to put all their stuff in when they're, going through the fall festival too. And parents got, we did that for 2 or 3 years. And one year I wasn't able to get the bags in time because they changed the date on me. And they said, well, we missed our bag. So that was another way that, they knew we were there.
Awesome. And so Miss Ruby's got a question, and just quickly before that question, the meeting chat's been disabled, and I'm not sure who disabled it and how. But as a meeting organizer, I'm not send messages. Very interesting. Ruby has also messaged. So unfortunately, the meeting chat's been disabled, and we're not sure how that's happened. I've been trying to work that out in the background. But if you do have a question, you're welcome to use the the raise hand function, which if you go up on your top right, you'll see that your person icon, your chat icon, or your conversation, that next box is going to give you that raise hand icon, or the thumbs up or the heart as well. So Ms. Ruby does have a question. Oh, looks like a couple of people can still use the meeting chat, so that's great. Ms. Ruby, do you want to ask your question?
Well, I really had more of a comment. I can't type in the chat, so I did want to tell Lisa, thank you so much for the treasure hunt idea. That sounds like a fun way to get started, and to know that the members know that they're going to do something really fun, so they're really wanting to invite someone else, and that they get rewarded for that. But the treasure hunt sounds really, really like a whole lot of fun. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome to use a lot of that 4-H trivia for those questions. So, some of them at first don't know the answers, but over the years, they're starting to learn it. And so I change it up a little bit, and they really enjoy it. Oh yeah, I know that one. We've done that one before. And, they'll come back real quick. So it's a lot of fun.
So I had somebody that actually made and you can use this as an in-person, so I'll just ask and y'all raise your hand if you want this. Tay Moore, who was our previous Louisiana 4-H state president, made a Jeopardy game that you can do in person or virtually that was, was all 4-H related themes or topics. And so it's a great little tool to just engage youth first off. So if you're interested in me sharing that resource, he did share that with me, so I can share that after the call as well, or put it in the resource folder if anybody's interested in using that. So it was really fun. Okay, Kim said yes, and Lisa said yes. So I will write that down to share Taymor's 4-H Jeopardy game. Great. All right, several people have raised their hand. Great. Okay, so Kara said she can't click on the virtual program, so I'm gonna share where that's located on the web as well. Okay, great, awesome. Okay, so we do have we're kind of running short on time today, but that's okay. We've got a lot of conversation. Now I do have Miss Ruby on the call. Obviously, Lisa and Jay are on the call, so I know that all three of our leaders, and actually we've got several other leaders that have a lot of experience in just creating that successful 4-H program year. And so I know specifically, Lisa works in the school club environment, and Ruby's actually started several community clubs, one recently really after the recent hurricane. So if I'll kind of open up the floor for them. And I guess I'll start with Miss Ruby. Miss Ruby, what are some things that you've done to kind of, if you want to share just one activity that you do every year to try to start the year off right with your 4-H program? So what is kind of one tip that you could share with the group today?
Yeah, well, I was the one that put the parent member social. I always start out, because my club is a community club, and the club, I've had school clubs in the past many years ago, but now I have community clubs or neighborhood clubs. So I have the opportunity to meet with them just about anywhere we choose to, but we go to the 4-H office and we have a social, and I make sure that I have an agenda. And on the agenda, we will put, I will roll a slideshow of what we did the year before as they're visiting and they're eating. And we could have ice cream, we could have pizza, whatever we're going to have. But the slideshow of the year before is going on just to remind them of the things that we did the year before. And then I have an agenda, and on there I'll usually have questions like, what would your goal be for our club this year? Would you like to add, and have a list of things, and that's usually taken from a survey or reflections that the members submit and parents submit at the end of the previous year. So just to bring over questions, so they're getting to visit with each other, even if it's social distancing and we're wearing masks. The parents are there, they're engaged with their kids. The kids are able to think about what they want to do for the year, and they're able to contribute right from the beginning. And this year especially, we're going to have a goal to how many new members do we want to bring in, and have that as one of our main goals for the year. But just to get everybody together to reflect on the year before and get started with the new year, and throw out a couple of questions that'll help them establish goals right from the beginning. So I think that'll help. So.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. And I think Jay's got to jump off here, and I believe Lisa's shared. But Lisa, if you have anything else to share, any questions from the audience when it comes to advice and strategies for just creating that successful program? So there's several hands up, and they might have been up before, but if you have any questions you want to ask, feel free at this time. So I'll open up the floor for comments and questions.
This is Deborah Thrower. One thing that I find successful, and it was just mentioned, is talking about and showing pictures, and maybe I have an elementary group, and maybe some of the fourth graders who were there before can speak up on it. And they always talk about the fun stuff we did the year before. And that kind of gets everybody all excited, and it gets them all talking about what we might do this year, which things they really liked and they might like to do again, or maybe some new ideas for stuff. And so bringing in the last year always gets everybody excited. It gets the new ones excited because they don't think about all the other, at least our club does. We're an elementary, does all kind of fun things. And they don't think about that as what 4-H, what being a 4-H member is. And so it gets them all pumped up, and then they start. The first meeting is we do in August. It's kind of a introductory meeting, but it's also a recruiting meeting because a lot of these kids go out and talk to their friends, and then we get more people bringing back their forms for the next month. So even if they missed that introductory meeting, they're there at the first official meeting because they heard about it and got all excited about it from their friends who are there talking about the year before.
Awesome. Thank you, Deborah, so much. That's actually a great way to kind of, yeah, to get that a positive response from you groups kind of starting out. So I appreciate you sharing that. I do have several hands up. April, I think your hand, and Nikita as well. So if one of you wants to open your mic and either share or ask a question, feel free.
Hey, this is April. I was just wondering, like, at the beginning of the year when my kids join, I take the fee, which is $10 in our parish. I don't know if that's across the board, but I add a $15 fee because over the years my kids are starving at the end of the day, and that's when we get to meet. So I put a fee in there, and it helps cover a T-shirt that the kids, I got the principal to allow them to wear whatever day we have a meeting on. They wear their 4-H shirt with their uniform shorts. And then I provide them a snack at every meeting also. But anyway, I'm just wondering, like, besides the little fee that we charge, I don't really want to up my fee, but how do y'all fund activities and raise funds for your programs?
Okay, I raised my hand on that one. If it's okay, I have some comments to make. Often we do need a little more money than we want to get from our parents and our families. You know, we know that they've been through a lot sometimes, and it gets to be very expensive. I guess there are a lot of ways to get money, but you could have, you know, there are all sorts of fundraisers, but in my case, I have a community club, so I go out and find money for the things that we need to manage our club and to have activities and snacks and things. So I'll meet with people within our community, within our neighborhood, and tell them the plan that we have for the year, and here's some of the things that we plan to do. And we find people will donate, or just to keep the program going, they'll donate funds, or maybe they'll opt to let us have pizza for that, or ice cream, or whatever the snack's going to be, popcorn and cold drinks or whatever, or they may even fund our workshops if we have a food and fitness workshop scheduled for the year. But one of the things I find beneficial is to make that plan. If you have a plan for the year and you know what you're going to do, you know how many snacks you're going to have to serve, about how many kids, then it's much better to have that when you go to someone and ask them if they would like to support in some way, you know, however they would like to support, but have a plan before you go out and seek help in funding. The other thing is to have the kids raise money. Sometimes that just comes from the parents or the families, but sometimes you're able to get a good fundraiser that draws money from people in the community that really want to support your 4-H club. So I don't know that that helps at all specifically, but having that initial plan and knowing what you need during the school year will help you whenever you're deciding how much to ask for and what sort of fundraisers to do.
Well, my daughter's in the livestock program, and they actually, the main 4-H office asked the kids to go get sponsors. So I feel like we're kind of double dipping if I ask them for both our personal club and then for the parish. So that's why I was just trying to see how everybody went about getting funds. Anyway, thank you for your help.
This is Deborah Thrower. That's an interesting question because I'm in a public school and our principal, we kind of have to limit it. We do kind of like you. We add a little bit extra, maybe if we're lucky, $10 extra to the amount that we ask, the basic dues that the parish and the state require. We have to add that in. And we add an extra $10 and we try to account for that. But the bad thing is, although I will say snacks, I hate to say it, but our meeting is at the end of the day, and snacks at the club meeting got a lot more kids. I don't know why, but the kids really enjoyed the snacks at the meeting, and it seemed to make sure the kids came to the meeting on a regular basis. It's not that it changed the number who came in, but sometimes over the year you lose some, and that snack every time made a difference. And part of the problem was we didn't really get to but we had like me and two other volunteer leaders, and a lot of times we would just chip in ourselves for some of the stuff we'd buy. When you request funds in a public school, you have to put down on the form for the accounting exactly what you're going to spend it on, which doesn't leave you much flexibility, which goes back to making sure you know what you're going to do during the year. But most of the time you have to have all that done before you even start sending the forms home and collecting and getting members. So it's at that point it gets hard to get the kids' input as far as what they want to do. You're going to get some of it, but you kind of have to, direct it into a certain direction, because otherwise they won't let you spend the money on. You have to put exactly down what you're spending the money on. And a lot of times there's so many fundraisers at school, they don't want you to do any more fundraisers. So I'm kind of questioning, besides out of the pocket, what do you do as well when you're, at a public school system, and those are the limitations. I'm not really sure. I've always it's been part of my donations, I call it, every year. So if anybody has some great ideas on that to get around the paperwork, and the extra fundraisers that they already have 5 billion of at school, I'd like to hear that too.
I have
Great,
a
okay.
question.
Sorry, Ruby.
Just-
there you go.
Just really quick, who was the lady who asked the first question? I was listening to Deborah and I forgot her name. Who was the first person who brought the question before us?
April.
April, okay. And I do understand April's wanting to do for her kids, and she understands because she's a parent. She understands what's happening with all parents. April, if I would suggest, if you don't already, if you have a group of parents that you could count on, that you can meet with, to ask them this question in your particular community, it might be better to get a little committee together of parents that are solid parents who want to participate and like for their kids to participate, and pose them the question that you had. They may give you feedback or give you leads or have leads that they can pick up on to help supply your kids with snacks after school. So if you don't already have a little parent group that you can lean on, I'd suggest that you form a little committee. And so it won't be so much on you, but then you'll be building your club and building support with that committee that can help you do that.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. So great conversation this evening. And so I wanted to, I know we're kind of running on short on time. We're losing people, but so I just appreciate Miss Ruby and Jay and also Lisa and sharing just ideas and several of you for just in sharing other ideas that you've done to start that year off successfully. I wanted to share a few things, and so I've been able to find a workaround and making my chat work without having to rejoin the call, because I am the one recording the call and the meeting organizer, which has never happened to me, but that's okay. So every time we have a webinar, we share a lot of resources. And so I just wanted to let you know that that folder that I keep sharing, the link to the resource folder, has a lot of material in it. I'm going to go through and kind of organize it a little bit for you, but all of the resources in previous calls, when we talk about the volunteer portfolio, when we talk about service learning opportunities, Ms. Ruby had some really great resources in a previous call that I've put in here, and then keeping that open mind and some activities that you can incorporate in your club. We did have a guest speaker all the way from Florida that talked about teen engagement. So if you're looking for any of those materials, we have archived them and we'll continue to archive them. The other thing that we've done, and I'm really working hard on this, is within the Louisiana 4-H website, actually making this a resource for our volunteers. And so when I first started, there wasn't a lot of material on here, but now we do have a training and resource section. And so if you haven't frequented that lately, I do encourage you to look at that. You know, I am posting those webinar recordings as they're available in those project-specific trainings. So if you've heard, you know, Louisiana wetlands or that Stand Strong curriculum, after all of those are offered and we have those training resources available, I've been posting those as well. I mentioned the Louisiana 4-H Volunteers Leading in Virtual 4-H. That's posted here. And then, as several of you know, we have a long list of these activities that we call virtual recess, but they're just simple things that you can do for, you know, having these kind of hands-on activities within your virtual clubs. Just some fun things that you can do in, you know, 15 minutes or more, that you're welcome to just pull from our website. Those are available to you. And so on the Louisiana 4-H website, there is a resource section that we're continuing to build out. If you want more material posted there, I'm going to continue to post from these webinars, but as we create more information, I'll continue to post for you. Also, the Facebook page is a great resource for our leaders, and the VLA has a pretty active Facebook page at LA 4-H VLA. So if you have not subscribed to that, I do encourage you to subscribe to that as well. I will share the link to that webinar resource folder, and then anything that was shared in the chat today or talked about will be shared in that resource folder. And then also I'll provide that link to the Egg Center website as well. All right, we're about out of time, about 7:15 or so. We're actually run over. We always run over, but one thing that I do, there are 2 additional hands up. So before we exit the call, I just want to see April and I'm not sure who is the other email, but if there's any other questions or comments, I just want to make sure that you guys have a chance to share or ask those questions. Okay, hand went down, so maybe not. All right. We do post these recordings on the 4-H Leader Virtual Classroom. If you have not viewed that classroom, there is a link available on the website. So all these webinars are recorded and posted there. The great thing about participating in a webinar is that it does produce that certificate. So if you are somebody that's working on your portfolio, you'll have an opportunity to complete that real simple evaluation that helps you provide that material or information you need for your master volunteer portfolio. So if you give me just one moment, I'm going to share that link for you in the chat. It is on your screen, but give me 1 second. And I'll provide that direct link for participating in the call and completing that reflection today. My computer decided to go really slow here, so I'm just going to pull it back up a different way. Give me 1 second. All right. Here we go. I'm figuring it out. Great. All right. So I just shared that in the chat. You should be able to see that now. So that evaluation and certificate, click that link, complete that. I will share all the resources that were talked about today in the call. So I appreciate everybody for participating in today or in August's volunteer leader webinar. And I hope to see you on the next one. We do these every month at the same time. So we hope to have you participate. And thank you so much for Lisa and Miss Ruby and Jay for sharing their knowledge, as well as other leaders for chiming in this afternoon. We appreciate you and your service that you provide to Louisiana 4-H. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.